The LEGO Pirates theme has always thrived on adventure. Hidden islands, treasure maps, merchant ships, and lonely outposts scattered across the sea. But every once in a while, a build comes along that feels quieter and more atmospheric. That's exactly what Sailing for the Light has captured. This is a Bricklink Designer program set built around a small cargo vessel arriving in a remote lighthouse island. The vessel itself is a historical cargo ship used heavily during the 17th century. These ships were known for being efficient, relatively small, and capable of hauling large amounts of cargo without requiring huge crews, which makes them perfect inspiration for a LEGO Pirate era supply ship. The ship build itself is named the Capella. The Capella is the brightest star in the constellation Auriga, which is why the ship proudly displays a star on its sails. It's a small detail, but it adds personality to the ship and gives it an identity beyond just being the cargo vessel. The story and lore is that the Capella arrives periodically to deliver supplies to the lighthouse island. Food, oil, cargo, and whatever else the keeper might need to maintain the beacon as well as the small home that he lives in. Once the cargo is unloaded, the ship eventually departs again, leaving behind one man to continue the lonely task of keeping the light burning. That is the lore and inspiration of this set by the designer Black Snow. This set comes in at 1,794 pieces with 4 minifigures. The build itself is split into 2 main sections, the Flout cargo ship, which makes up 1,085 pieces, and the Lighthouse Island, which accounts for the other 687. The ship measures roughly 45 centimeters long and 17.5 centimeters wide, and about 30.5 centimeters tall, giving it a really nice display footprint without pushing it into the massive scale of something like a large display model. The Lighthouse Island is much more compact, coming in at around 22.5 centimeters wide, 26.5 centimeters long, and 25.5 centimeters tall. And honestly, I really like the proportions here. The ship is large enough to feel substantial, but not so oversized that it starts to look strange next to other modern pirate sets. In fact, the scale feels like it would sit very comfortably beside sets like Thieves of Tortuga or even Eldorado Fortress. It doesn't dominate the display, but complements it nicely. And that balance is something I appreciate a lot for the cohesiveness of all the LEGO sets I've collected throughout the years. Starting with the Capella, the ship has a really clean silhouette that immediately stands out from the typical LEGO pirate vessel. The shape is slightly different from the more aggressive warship designs we're used to seeing. The hull feels rounded and cargo focused more than battle ready, which fits the purpose of the ship perfectly. It features 2 masts with the star emblem printed across the sails, giving the ship a subtle identity that ties directly back to its name. It's a simple design choice, but visually it works so very well. At the bow of the ship features a functional winch system used to raise and lower the anchor. Small mechanical features like that always make ships feel all that more authentic, and adds a little interaction without getting overly complicated. The deck layout is nicely balanced as well. And because this is a cargo vessel, a lot of the ship's space is devoted to storage rather than cannons or crew space. It has a double deck structure designed to hold cargo, which reinforces that idea that this ship exists purely to transport supplies. Moving over to the outside of the Lighthouse Island, the build captures that classic remote outpost vibe almost immediately. You've got the tower, the lighthouse keeper's cottage, and a small wooden dock, and a handful of swaying palm trees that help frame the island and give it that classic green against the tans and whites we've grown so fond of in the classic Pirates theme. It's not a huge island, but it doesn't need to be. In fact, I actually think this size is perfect. It's big enough to tell the story without feeling oversized or disconnected from the ship itself. One of the more interesting details sits right at the base of the lighthouse. You'll notice golden pipes, which represent the oil filling port used to keep the lighthouse lantern burning. The keeper has to refill the oil regularly to maintain the light, which is a really nice bit of real-world inspiration worked into the design itself. There are also buried barrels hidden beneath the sand, which is the kind of subtle detail that makes exploring around the island a little more rewarding. It's not flashy, but it adds just a little bit of character and a bit of play features. Just outside the door is the number 10361, which almost acts as an address for the island, and I thought would be an Easter egg to an old pirate set, but the only LEGO set that number is connected to is the LEGO Holiday Express train. So if you happen to know what that number might be alluding to, please let me know. For the interiors, the ship's design focuses heavily on the efficient use of the space. Beneath the stairs, there's a hidden storage compartment mainly intended for bottles and small cargo items. It's a clever use to make use of an area that would normally just be empty space. The captain's cabin sits toward the rear of the vessel and is designed to be easily detachable, allowing you to access the interior without dismantling the entire build. It's compact, but that actually works in its favor since ships of this size wouldn't have had massive quarters anyways. Over on the island, the lighthouse keeper's house features a removable roof so you can see inside, and the interior is very simple but cozy. You've got a bed, a small table, and a stove, and everything the keeper would need to live out here while maintaining the lighthouse. It would be a modest life, and it feels believable. And honestly, that's one of the strengths of this build. Nothing feels overdone. Everything feels grounded in the idea that this is a working lighthouse island rather than a dramatic pirate battling location. As for the minifigures, the set has 4, which feels appropriate for the story being told here. You've likely got the ship's captain and a crew member or 2, and the lighthouse keeper himself. It uses the new cream coat faction that was previously released in the minifigure vending machine that many pirate fans have started to say is the Dutch soldiers, or possibly Spanish soldiers from the Napoleonic War era. But given we already have the Spanish Armada out there, I'd much rather go with the idea that these are Dutch soldiers. It's not a massive cast of characters, but it doesn't need to be. This set is more about atmosphere than action, and the smaller lineup reinforces that quieter narrative, and of course helps bring the price down. When you start to imagine this set placed next to modern LEGO pirate builds like Eldorado Fortress, I believe it wouldn't dwarf it, and it wouldn't look oversized next to Thieves of Tortuga either. In fact, I think it would slot into a larger pirate display almost perfectly. And interestingly enough, the ship's design also fits really well into medieval LEGO sets. The scale and shape wouldn't look out of place sailing along the coast of LEGO castle displays, and that just is a surprising amount of versatility in my opinion. As for the price point, I believe it would come in right around $150, which would feel pretty reasonable. With nearly 1,800 pieces, a detailed ship build, and an entire island structure, the value seems fairly balanced compared to other LEGO display sets in that price range. It's clearly aimed more toward the adult collectors and pirate fans, rather than younger builders looking for heavy play features. But as a display piece with storytelling baked into the design, it delivers quite a bit. What I really appreciate about the Sailing for the Light is how focused it feels. It doesn't try to be the biggest pirate ship ever made. It doesn't try to cram in dozens of different play features, but instead it tells a story that is very specific. A small cargo vessel arriving at a lonely lighthouse island. The keeper waiting for supplies, the ship unloading its cargo, and eventually sailing away again while the lighthouse continues shining across the sea. From a display standpoint, the scale of both the ship and island feels just right. The build is substantial without becoming oversized, and I genuinely think it would sit beautifully beside the newest pirate sets. For collectors who enjoy building larger pirate scenes, this is the kind of set that quietly fills an important role in a LEGO pirate world. Not every ship needs to be a warship. Sometimes you just need the vessel bringing supplies to the edge of the map. But anyways, that's going to do it for today, and I'll see you in the next video.